When Tony Roper got to the track, he was all business and all smiles. The serious racer had reached his goal of competing in NASCAR, and though he never won, he raced every week the way he lived life, enthusiastically. After he left us suddenly and tragically in Texas, his racing families, past and present, converged on his hometown of Fairgrove, Missouri, to say goodbye. In all, over 3,000 people paid their respects. Tony Roper was well-liked, and he was well-remembered. At the funeral, his wife, Michelle, bravely addressed us and reminded, Tony always saw the best in everything, and Tony Roper loved everyone. Thanks, Tony, for sharing your life with so many of us. From the serene beaches of Daytona to the towering palm trees of California, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series has raced over 4,000 miles. Already, Biffle has been crowned champion, so today's race marks the beginning of a new season for some returning Truck Series veterans. Sprague hopes for 3 in a row at California to brighten his darkest season. Rutman dreams of putting Dodge in victory lane for a 7th time in 2000. Tolsma would love to make an impact before departing for a new truck team. And Refner looks to continue his newfound winning ways. The momentum of victory today could roll all the way back to the beach by February. Now for Randy Tolsma, it will be a momentum shift from his Impact Motorsports team to Team Renzi in 2001. Dennis Setzer will also be with the new team next year. This will be his last ride for Bob and Kay Keselowski, a team on which he's had 5 victories and almost won the championship last year. But the departure of Dodge and the uncertainty of this team have been a bitter pill for a loyal driver like Dennis Setzer to swallow. Today, he races to win for his friends. Dennis Setzer wants to be number one last time.
It's not easy being number 2, but it is still definitely worth fighting for. Only 33 points separate outstanding rookie Kurt Busch, 2-time winner Andy Houston, and Daytona victor Mike Wallace in the chase for the runner-up spot. They've waged tremendous battles on and off the track throughout this competitive 2000 season. Now it's time to see who's going to win the war. And because Houston and Mike Wallace are expected to move on next year, the competitive nature of these 3 drivers is more than ever. Andy Houston, from his outside front row start, wants to battle for victory, while our pole sitter, Kurt Busch, is determined to win the war. And let's not forget Mike Wallace. He has driven the number 2 for 2 years and wants that runner-up spot in an ultra bad way.
ESPN, the worldwide leader of sport. NASCAR 2000 today, live from Fontana, California, California Speedway. It's the final round of the 2000 campaign in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the Motorola 200. Taking a look at the points, you can see that Greg Biffle has claimed the championship, did it last time out at Texas Motor Speedway. But take a look now at the battle for the top 10 positions, because as we show you the differences between those spots, you'll notice that Kurt Busch, 250 markers behind Greg Biffle, but look how close it is for second place. Andy Houston only 30 points behind Busch, Mike Wallace 33 points behind Kurt Busch. Jack Sprague all alone in 5th, but look at the battle 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and Brian Refner has only a slim lead holding on to that 10th position, and only the top 10 get to speak at the banquet. Now, talk about Greg Biffle. He clinched the championship last time out at Texas Motor Speedway, but he did it in this fashion, hitting the wall hard. The right front tire went down. Greg said, I overcorrected. He tagged the wall so hard, he cracked his sternum and also twisted several vertebrae. And the view on board, you could see that he was in a great deal of pain. Now, the championship was still his, though, despite the 25th place finish. And for that reason, he comes into this race wanting to go out with a race victory, but he is in a great deal of pain, BP.
He's in a lot of pain, Marty, but he's coming to a great racetrack where he can really, the pain is not going to be a problem. This is a wide racetrack, a very smooth racetrack, and as these guys end up their 2000 season, what a great racetrack to come to for these guys, Wallace and Houston and Bush can figure out who's going to run second, who's going to try to win the race today, how many of these guys coming back next year, can they use this race as momentum? A super racetrack, very wide, and a very competitive racetrack.
Well, the trucks have now pulled out onto the racetrack for the first of 3 pace laps. When we come back, we'll set the starting field and go racing the final time in 2000. And speaking of those trucks, they're out on the starting grid. And let's take a look at our Mopar starting grid. Kurt Busch, a brand new record at over 177 miles an hour, just 40.5 seconds. Andy Houston right alongside. In row number 2, there's Greg Biffle looking to go out with a final victory, as is Dennis Setzer. Then in row number 3, it'll be Rick Corelli and Rick Crawford. Corelli coming on strong here late in the season. Randy Tolsma, final ride in the number 25. Mike Wallace could be going to Winston Cup. More on that later. Row 5, Mark Petty, his best qualifying effort ever. And Joe Ruttman right alongside in the 10th spot.
Back in row 6, Jack Sprague, who announced a new sponsorship this morning, and Carlos Contreras in row 7. On the inside, Kenny Schrader, the outside, first race, and a Jack Roush truck for Chuck Hosfeld. Back in row 8, Marty Houston on the inside. He'll be leaving the 75 car. Brendan Gaughan out of Las Vegas on the outside. In row 9, Matt Crafton, his first race in the 88 truck, and Jim Englebright. In row 10, on the inside, David Starr, B.A. Wilson on the outside.
Then Brian Rushner had a tough time in qualifying, blew a motor, so he has an approved engine change. Steve Grissom alongside. Then in row 12, Stan Boyd's going to go to the back. He missed the driver's meeting. Jimmy Hensley, his final ride in the 16 truck. Terry Cook in the 29 Dodge. More on that as we progress. Lance Dorick, Ronnie Hornaday. Yep, it's Ron Hornaday the third. And then there's Rob Morgan and Rich Woodland in row 15. Row 16, Scott Riggs in the 31. Randy McDonald alongside Coy Gibbs. Donnie Neuenberger in row 17, and rounding out the 36 truck field, Jeff Beck and Phil Bonifield. The field for today's race, as they continue down the backstretch, we've got a total of 9 Chevys, 9 Fords, I should say, 17 Chevrolets, 10 Dodges, and Ford has already clinched the Manufacturers' Championship. Rookie of the Year has also been clinched by, guess who, our pole sitter, Kurt Busch. He has tied a record now by getting his 4th Bud pole here. That ties his Killer Bee teammate, Greg Biffle. Let's take a look at the onboards, BT.
Rob Morgan has an onboard camera. He starts back in 29th position. Derek Cope, the RC Cola Dodge, in 28th spot. Steve Grissom, Dodge Motorsports, has an onboard camera. He starts 22nd. Brian Ruffner, the winner last week, or a couple weeks ago in Texas. John Smanville starts 21st. Jim Englebright, the Jelly Bean car, starts in 19th. Kenny Schrader has the Federated Auto Parts car in 13th. There's Schrader. And also Joe Ruttman, the Dana Dodge. He starts 10th. Mike Wallace outside that 4th row and 8th, the Team ASC Ford. And on the outside pole, Andy Houston, the Cat Rental Stores Chevrolet.
For 24 times these guys have done battle. Today it's the final one. The Motorola 200 is green. Everybody cleanly through turns 1 and 2. Down the backstretch, Busch and Houston side by side. Through turns 3 and 4, and nobody in that first 4 is giving it.
Biffle goes up the hill, almost gets inside of Dennis Setzer in the 1 truck. Oh, that was so close.
As we come by the stripe, who's going to lead lap number 1? It looks like it will be Kurt Busch, your pole sitter. And now, all of a sudden, Andy Houston rockets around Busch on the outside. So does Dennis Setzer. Down the back straightaway, Busch now right alongside. Oh, and a spin. That is Ronnie Hornaday the third. No contact with the wall, but the yellow is out on the Lucas Oil Chevrolet spin by Ronnie Hornaday. He gets a back going, BP. Other than some flat-spotted tires and probably some very wide eyes, looks like he's okay.
It does look like he's okay. We'll have to make a pit stop, as you said. When you put on the brakes and slide these tires, you put flat spots on them, you have to go in the pits and change 4 tires. Unfortunately now, he just has 2 more sets of tires to use today. They've used 1 set in practice. He's now used another set, 2 more sets to run the 200-mile race. 4 sets before the beginning of the activities.
Our first caution of the day. Stay with us. A lot more coming from the Motorola 200. Crunchy. We're at California Speedway under our first caution after Ron Hornaday III spun it around coming out of turn 2. The Lucas Oil Chevrolet has made his stop, gotten his fresh tires, and is back out onto the track. Let's go back and show you exactly what happened.
On board with Rob Morgan, this is the International Power and Engine onboard camera. And Hornaday just gets up a little high, gets the back of the truck loose, spins around, and as you said, did not hit anything. And when he made his pit stop, for some reason, he only changed 2 tires. So he still has left sides that possibly have a flat spot.
Well, some of the guys were saying they could go the entire race on 1 set of lefts because they are so firm. We're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Andy Houston leads, Kurt Busch, Dennis Setzer 3rd, Greg Biffle 4th, Mike Wallace 5th. That one truck, or the number 20, I should say, the one truck on the inside, that's Coy Gibbs. He's a lap down. That's why he's there. On board with our leader, Andy Houston.
I think that Kurt Busch is really working today to try to win the war, trying to finish second in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series point standings. I think it's important to him that he and Biffle run 1-2 for Jack Roush.
Lucas Oil telemetry was up to about 177 BP.
And we see Dennis Setzer back made a move for that second spot, which allowed Biffle to get up on the outside and try to take over. And almost in contact once again between those 2 trucks.
Setzer side by side with Greg Biffle. He's got Wallace coming with him, so he's got the drafting partner. Can they get by Biffle? All of a sudden, though, Biffle puts the hammer down on the Granger Ford. We're on board with Mike Wallace.
Now, that's exactly the spot that Ron Hornaday in the 3rd spun just a couple of laps ago, but this time Biffle able to make it through the corner okay, and look at him 4 or 5 wide as they come off turn 2.
In the zigzag by Andy Houston, trying to break up the slipstream, the drafting effect, and now Mike Wallace underneath can't make it last, though, as on the outside. It looks like Biffle is better on that high line, BP.
Well, what happens when you go down in the corner on the bottom of the racetrack with the truck on the outside, you really are getting loose. You don't have that wall of air to lean against, and it makes the trucks want to spin out or slide the back end.
There you got a quick look of the 18 of Joe Ruttman. He has moved up into the 6th position now. We zero back in towards the race for the lead. Now there is Brian Reffner trying to come through the pack in the number 3 John Manville Chevrolet, getting ready to go around the lap truck of Coy Gibbs. That's Brendan Gaughan in the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet. Right there, we're on board with Jimmy Englebright, the Jelly Belly machine. And he had to breathe it just long enough to allow the 3 truck of Brian Reffner to get underneath him, and there goes Reffner going side by side with Brendan Gaughan.
Englebright had to back off the accelerator as he came off turn 4. I don't know if he thought those guys were going to run into each other or his truck was pushing out toward the wall and he had to back off the accelerator to make the truck make the corner.
That's a position of 16th. Brendan Gaughan, by the way, has all but clinched the Winston West Championship. He just has to start the last race, and the title is his. Let's get more on the 3 truck, Dave Burns.
Brian Reffner blew a motor in practice, guys. It was Menard number 2. It was the second motor that Butch Meyer put together for John Menard's team. They blew that one. The motor they put back in the truck, the one that won at Texas. Was it freshened? You bet, because when it was tested after the race, inspected by the NASCAR inspectors, they tore it all the way down because Brian won the race. So they put the entire thing back together. It's a good motor. Chassis has been their problem, and now Reffner battles for that position. But they've got a good motor in the truck working on the chassis.
Boy, I'll tell you what, we were watching all that action. David Starr in the case of construction equipment Dodge on the outside there in the 41 really shot around. Now he's side by side, and there is the 49 truck, our first look at Chuck Hosfeld.
He's the winner of the latest Roush Gong Show, as Jack Roush took 4 drivers out to various racetracks and tried them out to see who he felt like would be a good driver for his operation next year. Chuck Hosfeld was the #1 choice.
His goal is a top 15 finish. He's currently 13th. He's from Ransomville, New York. And he has won 18 times in modified competition up there. On board again with Jimmy Englebright. He is an 18th. Meanwhile, the battle for 5th continues. The Mopar Dodge, if Dennis Setzer has it, Mike Wallace wants it. And the 18 truck, Joe Ruttman, has gotten by both these guys and moved up into the 4th position. So Ruttman, who started 10th, has picked up 6 spots.
And there is Joe Ruttman in the Dana Dodge. As he looks out the back, over the back tailgate at Dennis Setzer.
Joe Ruttman is going to lose his crew chief, Fred Wanke. Wanke is going to move over to the #1 Jimmy Smith-owned Dodge next year.
The slow truck you saw on the inside was Phil Bonneville, who seemed to be off the pace.
Speaking of Mike Wallace, we're on board with the other Jim Smith-owned truck. This year it's a Ford. They're changing over to Dodge livery. Meanwhile, let's go back up front. There's Andy Houston and Kurt Busch. They've opened up a bit of a lead over 3rd place of about 1 full second, so these two are trying to run away for a little bit. We're on board as we head to commercial break at the Motorola 200. Andy Houston in front. Back here at California Speedway at the Motorola 200, final round of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and you can see now that Greg Biffle has closed the gap on the front runners. So we've got a 3-truck battle up front. It is Andy Houston, then Kurt Busch, followed by our new champion, Greg Biffle. And Biffle looks underneath Busch for a moment.
I thought he was going to try to make the move. Right now, Andy Houston is able to keep that 60, that Cat Rental Chevrolet, right on the bottom of the racetrack, and it looks like that the 99 of Busch and the 50 of Biffle, both when they get in the corner, have to let the truck slide up the hill.
Well, Andy Houston, despite being on the pole the last 2 years in a row, he's actually only led 13 laps prior to today's event. Guess what? He's just doubled that total. In fact, he's gone one better. He's got 14 laps leading here today. Of course, Andy going to be moving on to Winston Cup competition next year, driving for Cal Wells and the PPI team.
All 3 of these drivers that you're seeing on the screen now are moving on to a different series next year. Andy Houston and Kurt Busch both going up to the NASCAR Winston Cup division. Greg Biffle, the Granger truck, he and his sponsor both are moving over to the NASCAR Busch Series. But that's not a bad thing. That just goes to show you how good that this series is and just how talented these drivers are.
All the way back to 21st, you can see door handle to door handle racing on board with Steve Grissom. As in the number 43 truck, he has got his hands full with Jimmy Hensley.
And the 88 truck is Matt Crafton, a young man, his first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. He is leading the Southwest Series. With a couple races left, has about a 100-point lead over Augie Vidovich. That's the truck on the right-hand side, the orange number 88.
That story I heard about him back in May. He goes to Pikes Peak, has an attack of kidney stones, goes to the hospital, comes back just in time to qualify. Not only does he qualify 5th, he ends up running the race and finishing 2nd with no practice. The other interesting story is the team said, I asked him, how'd you come on Matt Craft? He said, Kevin Harvick. I go, what do you mean? He says, well, last year Kevin Harvick told me about a kid named Kurt Busch. I didn't go after him. Roush got him. This year he says, Matt Craft did. He says, I went after him.
Kevin Harvick, who drives in the NASCAR Busch Series, has raced against these guys, Matt Crafton and Kurt Busch. All these fellows come from the Southwest Series.
Feeder system definitely works. Right now, look at Jimmy Hensley trying to close the gap on Steve Grissom. Grissom guaranteed a ride with one of the petty operations next year. It's just not been decided which one. We can tell you on that 43 truck, as we zero in now on the 86, that's Derek Cope. Second time in a row he's been in this truck. We're on board. Looking back on the 43, Howard Comstock is going to be the crew chief. And the possibility that Carlos Contreras and the Latin American Hot Wheels Dodge or Hot Wheels money is going to go with that team is back into play. So the 43 may have Carlos Contreras at the wheel. Howard Comstock will definitely be the crew chief next year. Let's go to the battle for ninth. There's Randy Tolsma and David Starr.
And David Starr started 19th in this 41 truck. As you said, the Case tractor or Case rental equipment Dodge.
Well, he slapped the wall. He pancaked it coming out of 4 on his qualifying lap yesterday, or he would have definitely been in the top 10, maybe even top 5. They got the sheet metal straightened out, and that's why he qualified 19th. And there we are a little bit behind, a little further back. And that number 29 truck, that's Terry Cook. He left the number 88 ride and is trying to help Bob and Kay Keselowski get some sponsorship. They got help from Precision Gear this weekend. Rick Crawford right behind him.
Rick Crawford has dropped back, has slid back. He started in 6th position, and he now is back in the 12th spot as Terry Cook was able to get by.
And you can see he's falling back even a little further because Terry is just pulling away. In fact, he's setting sail for the 75 of Marty Houston. Now, let's go back up front, and you can see that the margin has widened with our race leader, Andy Houston, now well over a half a second ahead of second place. Now, Greg Biffle. Biffle has gotten around Kurt Busch. Now, this track has not been all that friendly to Greg Biffle a couple of times that he has raced here. Continues on his quest, though. He wants to go out with a victory, as does everyone else. We'll find out who pulls the hat and the trick when we come back. Our final stop on the NASCAR 2000 campaign, that is Andy Houston. He has a 3/4 second lead over the 50 Granger Ford of Greg Biffle. There is second and third. Kurt Busch right behind his Killer B teammate. The 18 truck of Joe Ruttman is 2 seconds back in 4th, and rounding out the top 5 is Dennis Setzer.
That time by Biffle and the 99 truck of Busch gained about a 1/4 second on the leader, Andy Houston. We'll see if they can continue to do that. Oh, Busch is right on the tailgate of that 50 truck, trying to push him to the front.
Motorola 200. The laps just flying by. We had one early caution. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the final round of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Marty Reed along with Benny Parsons. Down in pit lane, it's Dave Burns and Amy East. And we've had 2 lead changes right now, and Andy Houston up front. Now let's move back to 4th and 5th. There is the 4th place runner, Joe Ruttman. Ruttman, of course, has won 3 times this year: Phoenix, Indianapolis Raceway Park, and Chicago. Finds himself in 6th in the points, but he's only 48 points out of 5th. And believe me, it's a lot more money at the banquet if you're 5th. Let's get more as we're looking on board with our Lucas telemetry. Dave?
Well, Marty, as I think you guys might have mentioned earlier, it's Joe's birthday today, so happy birthday to Joe and his crew. Had kind of a nice gift for him today. They gave him a work shirt. Unfortunately, it was an L.A. County work shirt, bright orange. They figured they'd put Joe out on the lines if they couldn't get him to drive the truck any faster here.
Well, he's doing quite well so far. Remember, he started this race in the 10th position. And we should say, happy birthday. You want to sing, Benny?
No, thank you.
He is 56 years young today, the oldest man on the track. And happy birthday to Joe.
And he was born 56 years ago up the road about 10 or 15 miles.
Yeah, Upland, California. Looking now at Dennis Setzer in the Mopar Dodge. Now, Dennis, of course, going to be moving to the 46th truck next year and changing over to the Ford with Computer Associates as the associate sponsor on the Axiom Ford. We move a little bit further back. There is Mike Wallace. He's currently running in the 5th position. And Mike may be going to Winston Cup. In fact, according to team owner Jimmy Smith, he says all he needs is for Nation's Rent to sign off on it, and Mike Wallace is his man.
Yes, he would love to have Mike Wallace in that Nation's Rent Chevrolet for next year, and I think that Nation's Rent and Mike Wallace would be a very good combination. Look on the back of the truck. In memory of the USS Cole, the ship that was bombed over in the Middle East, Mike Wallace thought about this week, got in touch with the Navy Department, and they said we'd love for you to.
Dave, you got more?
Just spoke with Tim Cahuth, and right now the truck is just a little bit tight in turns 3 and 4. He was trying to stay up with Dennis Setzer and run together, but he's fallen back from that because of that tight condition on the 3 and 4 end of the track.
Well, next year, of course, in this camp, Jimmy Smith's going to be switching over to Dodges. The number 2 truck will be driven by Scott Riggs. And the number 1 truck, well, the seat is not filled, but his top choice is Tony Raines.
Out of the NASCAR Busch Series.
And a former graduate of the Truck Series as well. Let's move back to the 6th position. And there is Brian Refner. Actually 7th, I should say, as we go on board the Johns Manville Chevrolet. Coming off his first victory, snapped that drought, 112 career races, and he finally got victory number 1. Former NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Rookie of the Year. And you always knew, Benny, he had it in him. It was just a matter of time. It took a little longer than everybody thought.
Yes, it did. In the Truck Series for a long, long time. Now back to Jack Sprague, who has won the last 2 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series here at the California Speedway. But right now he is in 8th spot, almost 11 and a half seconds behind the leader, Andy Houston. But after happy hour last night, Jack Sprague was very, very pleased with this truck. I'm shocked that he isn't up there battling for the lead.
The only man to start all 145 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series races over the 6-year history. Now we're going back up front, check in with our race leader, Andy Houston, Greg Biffle. You can see the margin there as they're going around a little bit of traffic. We're going to have pit stops coming up soon. They can go about 45 laps at best. Stay with us here at California. Andy Houston has opened up a 1.2-second lead over Greg Biffle.
All of a sudden, Biffle was up about a half second. He had driven away and pulled away for about a half second in front of Kurt Busch, but now Biffle has fallen back about a half second more behind Andy Houston. He's now 2.25 seconds back, and Kurt Busch has closed up almost on the back bumper of Biffle. So I don't know if all of a sudden these trucks are... And here comes the leader into the pit. Andy Houston is bringing the Cat Riddle Chevrolet on pit road.
On lap 36, Andy Houston comes in. We thought these guys would go to about lap 40 at least, so maybe they're not getting the fuel mileage that we thought. Dave Burns, he's coming your way.
I asked crew chief Rick Wren if they could go to lap 45. He said, heck no. So they're in this early. No adjustments that they want to make on the truck, but they do want to take on the 4 tires. They've been very happy with it after making a motor change. After a happy hour, it was a planned change. After qualifying. And now they're going to put the 4 tires on. Right side tires going on for Andy. 1 can of gas in. They're going to bring the other can across now. Left side going up, coming off. And the guys are going to try to get him out of here. Pretty good stop so far for Andy Houston. No mistakes as they get him off. Houston is out of here in 20.8. Bit slow.
Well, 2 things about that. Of course, let's remind everybody, under green flag conditions, you can change all 4. It's only under the yellow that you're limited to a 2-tire change. But Goodyear folks were telling us, the guys were saying they could go all the way on the lefts. Why take that extra time?
Well, because they're in there, they might as well. Now the left side change, that's out of the way. They don't have to worry about that anymore. We see the 1 car. Dennis Setzer's on pit road. Dave?
And Mike Wallace is there, too. Well, we're having a little audio glitch, so we'll call the stop for you. Mike Wallace is going to take at least right side tires. And yes, they're bringing out the left sides as well. And they're having trouble on the right front, Benny, and this is going to slow that stop down.
They were making an adjustment. They're either, I guess, taking a spring rubber out or installing a spring rubber in the right front of the Team ASC car. And Kurt Busch, the truck running in 3rd place, or 2nd spot, actually, is coming on the pit road. There you see the X-side truck slowly coming down pit road at 55 miles per hour. Here it comes to you, Amy.
And battling for the Roush Racing Championship, 1-2 bragging rights. Kurt Busch comes down, and they are going to take 4 tires. You're right, Benny. We might as well get those left side tires stopped out of the way. They go around to the right side. Looks like everything is really nice and smooth. They make their way to the left side now. This team practices a bunch. So far, it seems to be a flawless stop. The left front is off. Everything is looking good. Fuel is good. And the battle can be won or lost in the pits, as with many races. A little hold up on the left rear, and he's down and away.
A lot of other teams making stops, including the 41. There is Jimmy Inglebright in the Jelly Belly Chevrolet. Also making a stop was the 24. The 25 truck also stopped. Here comes Joe Ruttman in as well. He passes Rick Crawford. Amy, it's yours again.
Well, here comes Joe Ruttman, our birthday boy. He's taking on also a 4-tire stop. He's says there's no chance of them going a lap down, so the birthday boy is going to get 4 fresh tires.
Also making stops, Rick Corelli coming in now in the Carlin Burns Control Ford. Rick, of course, getting a win earlier this year and qualifying very well here at our last race of the season as he came in with a top 5 qualifying position. Looks like they're making an adjustment into the rear, and also looks like it'll be at least the right sides. And there is Brian Refner also getting right side. And it looks like, yes, they're going to make a 4-tire change. So it seems like everybody is sticking to the pattern of going for all 4s under green.
Well, we've seen a couple of trucks that haven't changed but 2, but Brian Refner was running in 2nd spot. And right now, these trucks definitely do not want to see a caution flag. Joe Ruttman, I noticed while he was sitting in the pits, Greg Biffle, the leader, goes by pit road. So if the caution flag were to come out in the next lap or 2, Ruttman, all these trucks that made pit stops would, in fact, be a lap down to this guy, Greg Biffle.
Biffle in the Granger Ford. We have completed 41 laps. He is still out there. He has led a total of 6 laps so far. Remember, he's got that cracked sternum, and also the impact from Texas twisted several vertebrae, and it looks like, will he slow down and make the dive to pit lane? Yes. So on lap 42, he's going to bring it in, and Greg Biffle will surrender the race lead to Marty Houston. And a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit, and it feels like you're crawling. There's Randy Goss on the radio.
25-66.
And the caution flag is out. The caution flag is out. Is Biffle is he going to go straight ahead, or is he going to make a stop?
They told him to keep going. They told him to go, and he stayed out. He's going to lose valuable track position.
The 41 truck of David Starr has smacked the wall off turn 4. That's what caused the caution flag. Never see David Starr pancaking that right side once again.
Got a lot of smoke from the engine compartment as well.
I think it's knocked the tires over against the sheet metal. Boy, and I tell you what, I don't know how this is going to shake down, but I think that Andy Houston, Joe Ruttman, and the 99 car Busch were able to get by Greg Biffle while he was coming down pit road. But right now, our score monitor only showing about 8 cars in the lead lap.
Tough break for David Starr in the Case Construction Equipment Dodge. He's trying to put a deal together for next year. It looked like Mike Ferris was pretty high on him. They ran very well at Texas. They were up front. Then they had motor problems there, and now here comes Starr making his way slowly around the racetrack. He's on the back straightaway right now, spraying for some mosquitoes and heading towards pit lane.
Talented young man, David Starr.
32 years old, lives in Dallas, Texas, won a Winston West race at the beginning of the year out at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. His best finish here in the Truck Series has been 11th at both Memphis and at Texas. He finished 12th last time out at Texas, despite that motor glitch that had the hood up for a while. That just shows you how strong that truck really was that day and how good a day David was having. Now let's go back and show you what happened to David.
Oh, we see some smoke out of the back of the truck. So I guess you're right. I thought all that smoke was just where he had flat the side of the truck. But obviously he had some type of oil line came off or something happened under the hood that caused the oil to get under the wheels, and he goes up. And maybe he didn't smack the wall. Maybe that was a result of previous pancake in the wall.
And there is your new race leader, the 75, and Biffle is in second. What a break, Amy.
Well, that's what they're trying to discuss down here. They weren't quite sure if they were going to be a lap down or if they can come with the leaders or what they should do. So they've decided now that he can come down pit lane, and the plan has changed. Greg Biffle will not get the 4 fresh tires that his teammate and others here on pit lane have gotten. He's going to get right side tires, as Dave Burns is now going to tell us what Marty Houston's doing. Dave?
Hopefully for Marty Houston, Amy, it will be a chance to get fresh rubber, but of course, not pitting under green, he'll only be able to take on 2. They are going to go to the right side and fill the Spears Chevrolet with fuel. And they're also going to make, it looks like, a track bar adjustment. Amy?
Well, back here in our champion pit, Greg Biffle is now getting the right side tires, and this is a new pit crew for our champion because Dan Binks, who's usually changing tires, is crew chiefing for the young Chuck Hospital. They are making sure to get as much fuel as possible. They got the 2 full cans in, and Greg Biffle is down and away.
Andy Houston stopped again. Now, what, just to top off? I mean, he doesn't need any tires. He had 4 fresh ones.
Well, he could not run a lot of laps. Remember, he could only run about 36, 37 laps, so I'm sure he needed just a splash of fuel to be able to run as long as Greg Biffle. Because the other trucks on the racetrack, Kurt Busch, those other trucks can run farther on fuel, so he needed to get up and be able to run as far as they could.
Yeah, Biffle had 4 extra laps on Andy Houston. I'm sure the team is thinking about that. You're on board right now with Kenny Schrader, and the number 52 car is in the 15th position. Stay with us. We're back after this. Second caution here at the Motorola 200. David Starr lost a motor in the Case Equipment Construction Dodge and is right now on pit lane. And there is our new leader, Joe Ruttman, as he has inherited the lead after some of these stops. We're trying to sort out for you exactly how many trucks will remain on the lead lap now, because some of the teams did pit earlier. David's out of the truck, and let's go to Dave Burns.
Standing by with David Starr. David, our Marty Reed referred to spraying mosquitoes out there. A lot of smoke, buddy. What was it?
Well, we lost an instance, but the Case Dodge was awesome. I mean, TKO Motorsports, what an awesome race team. You know, I just hate it for this team because we were having a good qualifying run, and I went up and hit the turn 4 wall in qualifying, and we didn't have one of our best qualifying runs, but I wanted to bring the Case Dodge up front and maybe have a win or maybe even finish in the top 3, but that's not going to be today. But I tell you what, this is a heck of a team. We'll be back at Daytona. I mean, we're having a good time. It's just unfortunate, you know, Texas. We thought we had a good run at Texas, and unfortunately, we didn't finish the race there. It looks like we're not going to be able to finish the race here, but we'll be back for Daytona, and I'm excited for Daytona, so hopefully we can come back there and win us a race at Daytona. That'd be neat.
Is that going to be a full season with you and TKO, or just starting at Daytona and seeing?
Well, I mean, I hope Mike Ferris wants me. I don't know. We'll have to talk after we get back to Texas, but I'd like to thank Chasco Contracting at Austin, Texas for helping me, too, but it's just a shame that it didn't stay together. I thought we could have had a good finish today, and man, I just hate it for these teams. These guys, they work so hard. Just an awesome team, and we'll be back for Daytona.
All right, Mike Ferris would do well to think about hiring David Starr.
Started 19th, was running 9th when the motor let go. There's Randy Tolsma, and a tough pit stop has moved him back. He's shown 14th, Amy. What happened?
Well, during the green flag stops, Randy Tolsma came down, and what was intended to be 4 tires landed up being a 25-second 2-tire stop. They had a lug nut get stuck in the impact wrench, and he landed up only getting right sides and fuel, and that dropped him all the way back to 26th. So if this caution flag benefited anybody, it was Randy Tolsma, because with people making pit stops under that caution, it has indeed moved Randy Tolsma up to the 14th position.
But he's on the tail end of the lead lap. Randy Tolsma, the leader. We see the Dana Dodge back there.
Mike Wallace, as we're on board, we talked about the fight for second in the championship chase. Let's update you. Kurt Busch would still hold it. He has 222 markers back, and then he's actually Andy Houston would be 3rd, Mike Wallace 4th, and still up for grabs. Further down, Brian Reffner would move up to 9th right now, and Steve Grissom would crack the top 10, or stay in the top 10. And as we stay with Andy Houston, remember he stopped twice, Dave Burns. Was it fuel?
It was, Marty. No problem on Andy's truck. They just wanted to top it off with fuel. And, of course, as we saw, they were the very first ones to come off the track and to want to pit because they don't think their fuel window is much over 36 and 38 laps.
So that puts a period on that one. While we've got the chance here, let's give you a medical update. Ricky Hendrick was supposed to be racing here this weekend with us, but if you remember, he had a crash last week. Had a concussion. Doctor said don't race for 7 days. He's doing well. Saw Rick Hendrick here today. And Rick Ware is in Loma Linda Medical Center for observation. He had contact with the wall on Thursday. We send our best to both of those young men. Getting ready to go back. Green flag racing, BT.
Trucks are lining up. Leader right now, Joe Ruttman, has about 3 or 4 trucks in front of him that on the tail end of the lead lap, desperately trying to stay in front of Ruttman in case there's another caution flag.
Roy Selby waves the green, and we're back underway here at California Speedway.
And Rick Crawford was up there in the second spot, that red truck, but could not get the truck restarted very well and has fallen back about 10 spots.
Boy, but Randy Tolsma sure did get shot out of the cannon.
And Andy Houston down 3 wide, and Biffle falling down the backstretch as they try to work their way back to the front.
Rush hour traffic with no lane markers. Find your hole and go for it. There's Marty Houston. He's stuck in underneath Ken Schrader. Schrader hasn't been a factor since the drop of the green flag, VP.
On board at Fair-Rated Auto Parts. Chevrolet back in 19th position.
He's a lap down, and now you got Mike Wallace in that mix there. He is the 24 of Jack Sprague, the 66 of Rick Corelli, and leading the pack, the number 3 of Brian Refner. Third on back, we're on board with Refner. You sort it out, VP. I can't make the hydro tear from that view.
I think we'll wait till they get to the front straightaway and then start trying to figure out who's doing what, as Houston just drives up on the inside of Jack Sprague. Also, that's Brendan Gaughan, the Napa Chevrolet, on the outside of Andy Houston.
Yeah, he's one of those trucks that's a lap down. In fact, he's the first truck 1 lap down in 15th position. In fact, now Randy Tolsma has just joined him because Tolsma has been passed by our race leader, Joe Ruttman. So 13 trucks on the lead lap, and you're on board with the Dana Dodge.
And here comes Kurt Busch. That white truck on the inside is trying to close up on Brian Refner and take over that second spot.
There is Andy Houston alongside of the 25. There comes Jack Sprague. Got a quick glimpse of the 24. Next year, they made the big announcement. The 24 will have new colors. It is Net Zero, a free internet access service, and a 2-year contract with multiple year options. Look at this 3 wide behind him. Oh, going to get dicey.
And look at Biffle on the apron. He's driving on the apron of the racetrack trying to get by these trucks. He's on the inside of Mike Wallace and passed about 6 trucks on the apron.
And you were worried about him not having left side tires fresh.
Wow. He doesn't need them down there. Look at Refner trying to take over and pass Joe Ruttman as he come off turn 2, and he's going to pass it.
Well, we were teasing Brian. We said, hey, Brian, you know, if you won the last race of the season, you could brag about it all year long. He says, well, okay, then we'll just go do it again. Well, he's got the lead. That will be our 6th different lead change amongst 6 different drivers. On board with Brian Refner. Team bases out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Kurt Busch right behind him.
And Joe Ruttman now is trying to come back on the inside. And Busch is way up the racetrack as Refner stays low and seems to gain an advantage on Kurt Busch.
Well, this 2-mile facility at California Speedway, you can hear them having to breathe the throttle in the corners. 14-degree banking is the reason why there. There is your top 3. It is Refner, Kurt Busch, and Joe Ruttman. And the sun is starting to come out here in California. Back with more of the Motorola 200. Race leader Brian Refner, he's flying around here at about 170 and change. But remember, these vehicles are the size of a refrigerator, and they're swinging a little forward.
Yes, they're very aerodynamically challenged. We see Mike Wallace there in the 2 truck, the Team ASC Ultra Wheels Ford, who's battling for that 2nd position in the final NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series point standings. Well, he's got some problems. He was running up about 5th or 6th, and we see trucks going by. Just listen. Well, we're on board with him for just a second. On board during the commercial break, we heard the engine. And I think we can hear it here.
We have it right going into the corner. There it is.
About the time he gets almost in the straightaway, the engine starts missing.
So Mike is backing up rapidly. Dave Burns.
And Greg Biffle is coming down pit road.
Big surprise. Sorry, Dave, but Biffle has stunned us with an early stop here. We have completed 58 laps. We're just past the halfway mark. This is way too early to be a planned stop.
It might be planned.
Nice smooth stop, buddy. We're doing left for double 1.
Let's check and see if Amy East is there. Amy, are you there?
Yeah, I am, Benny. They're going to take left side tires. Maybe this is a plan for when they didn't get to make that green flag stop that they had intended on. Take left and top it off with fuel.
But here comes the leaders. Brian Refner comes by the start-finish line. He goes down in turn 1 as Biffle is trying to get up to speed in the Granger Ford. Is he going to be able to stay in the lead lap? There we see Biffle. There we see Brian Reffner.
I'm puzzled at this stop, the timing of this stop. I just, especially if he goes a lap down here.
But he can make it the rest of the way. And all these other trucks have to stop again as well.
Well, that means, let's see, yes, we're at lap 60, so he'd have to make 40 laps. So he has made he made over 40 laps. So that would explain it from that standpoint. But boy, what a risk. If you go a lap down, you just ruin your chance, especially if the yellow comes out. He has got the hammer down right now. That's the target in sight for Brian Reffner. You're on board. Look at this, 185, 86.
Going down in turn 1, Reffner backs off the throttle.
And he is getting closer to Greg Biffle.
Brian Reffner, let's see as he goes down the backstretch. He should be a little bit slower here because, and he is, because this straightaway is not as long as the front straightaway.
Amy, you've got more on the Granger Ford?
Yeah, the reason they came down pit lane was a result from when they tried to do it under a green flag stop. Randy Goss decided that if they come down and get the left side now, then they will be back on sequence with everybody. If another caution comes out and the leaders have to come in, they will in turn stay out. Dave Burns?
Well, it's diagnosis time for the Team ASE guys. They go under the hood. There are so many lines in the oiling system that if that's the problem, they've got a lot of stuff to check, but I don't see a lot of oil being thrown around the engine bay. It was diagnosed as a miss earlier by Tim Cahuth, and that would indicate by where they're going. Looks like they're checking the plugs, making sure that they've got fire to all 8 cylinders, but Mike Wallace definitely with motor problems. It was a miss. Tim Cahuth told me that right before we went to commercial, and now they're just trying to figure out if it's anything they can fix.
Well, it doesn't look very good. Take a look at this, side by side, the battle for second, Kurt Busch and Andy Houston. And Busch gets credit at the stripe. He is 9/10 of a second behind the race leader, Brian Reffner.
And we see Andy Houston was not able to take that Cat Reynolds Chevrolet on the bottom of the racetrack and did not have that wall of air to lean against, so he had to back off and let Kurt Busch maintain that second position.
Busch trying to put a lock. We're on board with Joe Ruttman. He is running in 4th position. Busch trying to put a lock on 2nd place in the championship chase. Give Jack Roush a 1-2 sweep of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series in 2000. And only 38 laps to go. The battle for second in the points championship as well at stake. Wallace is now gone from that battle as a result of being in the pit lane. He will finish in the 4th spot, but it's now down between Kurt Busch and Andy Houston, and right now they are separated by 30 points as we speak.
Andy Houston, once again, that 60, trying to take over that second spot. Is he able to clear the 99 going in the corner? If he isn't, he may have to back up. No, he isn't.
Well, but Kurt rides up the hill just a little bit, and that allows Andy to get back onto the throttle, and he does complete the pass. Well, it doesn't look like they're going as fast as they really are there.
No, it's 185 miles per hour as they go down in turn 1.
Well, that's also like the deceiving size of today's crowd. The place holds 100,000, and it is half full, but it's spread out all over the place. So 50,000 is a great crowd, but it doesn't look all that big. So sometimes things do not appear the way they are. There is your race leader, Brian Reffner, right now with a 1.7-second lead over Andy Houston. And the Chevys are running 1-2. Stay with us. Final round of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the Motorola 200. You're looking at the battle for 5th, or I should say 6th on the racetrack. These are the teammates, actually, for this weekend. The number 1, Mopar Dodge, Dennis Setzer, and Terry Cook in the Precision Gear Dodge. And Bob and Kay Keselowski losing the Mopar and Dodge backing after this season. Not a very popular move down in the old garage area. And everybody has been pulling real hard for both Bob and Kay to come up with a new manufacturer and some sponsorship. And while these guys continue to motor around in station in 6th and 7th, Dave Burns has caught up with a very disappointed Mike Wallace.
And, of course, Marty, that's because he was battling for a possible second place in the points today. Mike, we know this one hurts.
I'll tell you what, we had such a great year. The last 3 races this year, you know, it all went downhill starting at Dover when we about won and got taken out there. But, you know, what can you say? It's a mechanical failure. There's a lot worse things in life that can happen. So we'll just take it from there. Team ASE Ford F-150 had a great year up until now. We've had a motor difficulty. You know, I don't know exactly what happened. It was going to blow wide apart if we didn't quit while we still had it going. But sure, heartbreaker. We didn't have second. We still want to get back to third or something. You know, we only needed 3 points on the 60 truck to be back in third, and you know, I guess we'll finish fourth. I don't think Jack can catch it. Heck, maybe he can too. So it's a heartbreaker. But like I said, there's worse things in life.
All right, his guys are going to try to go under the hood and get him back out for a few possible points. If they don't, Mike will have to settle for an opening win this year at Daytona and also a win at Bakersfield.
And Biffle smacked the wall off turn 4. That 50 truck, the red and black truck, as he tries his best to stay in front of Brian Refner in that 3. The leader of the race is the 3, the Johns Manville truck driven by Brian Refner. Biffle almost 2 miles behind. He wants to stay out front in case the caution flag should come out. Watch as he comes off turn 4. He lets that truck drift up, and he can't let it drift anymore because the wall is there.
He brushes it just enough to leave a mark. Never had a lot of success at this racetrack. Remember, the championship came down to the last race last year, and of course it was Jack Sprague beating Greg Biffle to the stripe. Of course, Biffle did not get any help from his teammate that day in those last closing laps, which didn't go over very well in the camp. But right now, he's in jeopardy of going a lap down, and that was the danger of that pit stop.
And Dennis Setzer is coming down pit road. Dave Burns, what's going on with him?
Well, these guys are getting ready to put on 4 tires and fill him full of fuel here on lap 71. This is a decent time to come in, only 30 to go. He won't need to come in again, but they are going to go for 4. And all these guys who want Dennis to win one last time for the Keselowskis do have work next year. The Keselowskis had to tell them, guys, go for those good jobs, and they do have places to go, but this will be their last race working for the Mopar 1. They get the right sides on, left sides are on. Little trouble on the left rear. They've got that corrected. All 5 lug nuts on. Fuel in the truck, and Dennis is gone.
Well, it was Bob and Kay Keselowski who were there at the very beginning with the Dodge project. 3 wide. That is Rob Morgan in the Axiom Ford, and Jimmy Engelbright going around Chuck Hosfeld. And you're on board route now with Rob Morgan.
As he looks back at Chuck Hosfeld, folks, I wish that you could see the uniform that Chuck Hosfeld in that 49 truck is wearing today. It has a big for sale on the front and back of it because Roush and his people are definitely trying to find a sponsor for a couple of trucks next year in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series so they can come back and try to compete. But Chuck Hosfeld said he felt like Burt Reynolds in that movie Stroker Ace, like when he had to dress up in the chicken's outfit. That's how he felt.
Let's take a look at our Dodge race recap. Our leader is Brian Refner. He's led 21 of 72 laps. We've had 5 lead changes, 2 cautions for a total of 9 laps. The average speed is at 146 miles an hour. Last year's average, to give you an example, was 128. There's your lap leaders. Houston, Refner, Biffle, Ruttman, and Marty Houston has led for 2 laps. Kurt Busch for 1 lap as well. Out of the race, Jeff Beck, David Starr, Rich Woodland, Phil Bonifield, and perhaps very soon Mike Wallace, although the team is still working behind the wall. Right now you're on board with Rob Morgan in the Axiom Ford. He's running in 17th position. He's 1 lap down. In fact, there is only 11 trucks on the lead lap, and that 11th truck is Greg Biffle. 27 of 100 laps here at the Motorola 200 California Speedway. And you're on board with Joe Ruttman, and right now Ruttman is running in the 4th position. Right ahead of him is Kurt Busch, who is running in 3rd.
Ruttman was alongside of Kurt Busch just a moment ago. Not able to make that pass stick. Meanwhile, as we watch this, got our Lucas Oil telemetry on board with Joe Ruttman. We'll see what kind of RPM, what kind of miles per hour he gets down the backstretch. Did they say 1 can of fuel? Is that what they were saying?
That's what I heard.
Because Is Joe Rudman coming in this time, or is he trying to make a pass? He's on the bottom of the racetrack. No,
We got one. Slow on the front. Just keep taking, bud.
There is a very slow truck going down in turn 1.
That's what you heard on the radio. They may get a yellow here if that truck cannot get up to speed. He's past pit out. There, you see the truck go zooming by on the left. Rick Corelli is in, Amy.
Well, not a way to end the season for Rick Corelli. He was hoping to be more running up in the top 10, but needless to say, the truck's just not handling the way that they expected it to. They took on right-side tires and are going to make sure they have enough fuel here to go the final 20 laps for Rick Corelli.
Yeah, Corelli's 2 laps down and 19th, and the yellow is out. So this is going to change the complexion of this race. Greg Biffle is going to stay on the lead lap. Luckily, by the skin of his teeth, he was passed during one of our commercial breaks, but got back on the lead lap. So now the yellow is out for the 3rd time. That equals the mark we had last year, and there is the reason for the yellow. It is Chuck Hosfeld in the number 49, and he was running in 25th position. So all of a sudden, instead of being almost 2 laps down, the 50 is on the lead lap in 10th position.
And there we see the for sale on the bed of that truck. That's what it says on the uniform of Chuck Hosfeld.
Jack Roush looking for sponsorship for both of his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series entries for next year. There is the pace truck picking up our leader. You know,
you would say that he had helped out his teammate Greg Biffle by bringing out the caution flag. But Marty, I'm not sure he did. I'm not sure that Greg Biffle wouldn't have been better if this race had gone green flag the rest of the way. Because I think that he could make it the rest of the way, and every other truck here had to stop but him. I think he might have won the race if this thing stays green flag the rest of the way.
Boy, I tell you what, either way it shakes out. It was a very difficult call at the time, and how it ends up turning out, we're going to have to wait and see. Right now, 10 trucks on the lead lap, and here comes everybody on that lead lap into pit lane, led by Brian Reffner. Dave Burns is in Brian's pit. He's coming your way, David.
And I just checked with Les Bach, the crew chief. They said they didn't want to make any adjustments, but they would be changing, obviously, only 2. They're going to go to the right side, put fresh brights on for Brian and try to get back out and win this thing for the 2nd race in a row. Remember, he's the defending winner from our last race in Texas. Let's go to Amy.
Well, Kurt Busch is just 19 laps away from giving Roush a 1-2 championship finish as he takes on right-side tires, fuel, and that's it. Dave Burns.
Amy, it looks like he rolled off the jack as he was getting out of pit road, so a delay for Brian Reffner.
Yeah, it's going to cost him the race lead. Benny, you saw it. We caught it just at the very end, right before the camera change. And there is Brian coming back out, and there is Greg Biffle just 2 trucks behind him. Marty Houston is in the 75. So we'll shake it out for you as far as the running order when we come back from commercial break. Here at the Motorola 200, we've run 81 of 100 laps. To California Speedway, you're on board with Brian Reffner, and the bad news for Brian fans is back to 6th place, BP. Costly pit stop.
Very costly pit stop.
Let's go back and take a look at exactly what happened. We thought it might be a problem with the jack operator, but on second viewing, it's really Brian's problem in the cockpit.
I think as soon as he gets the tires changed, Brian realizes that. He lets off the brakes. See the rear tire? Did you see the rear tire spin just a little bit? That's when Brian Reffner released the brakes, and that allowed the truck to roll forward and roll off the jack.
Just long enough to put Brian back into 6th. Take a look at the pit in and pit out. Reffner, the big loser. Houston comes out in 3rd. Busch, the big winner, he gains 2 spots, as does Ruttman, and Marty Houston drops 2. Let's get an update on Brian Reffner. Dave Burns.
Marty, to add to that story, Les Bach, his crew chief, just told me when they changed motors, the clutch position was bad for Brian. The way they set it up again, they didn't set it very good. And he thinks that Brian actually engaged the clutch, and that's what took him off the jack.
Well, he came back from a bad pit stop in Texas to win. He's going to have to do it again. He's got the truck. I mean, this is the same truck that Jay Sauter won Texas and California the last 2 races last year. He's already pulled off the first half by winning Texas. Can he do it here today? Joe Ruttman, you're looking out the back of the Dana Dodge. Amy, you've got more?
Well, they had an excellent two-tire right-side stop down here in the number 18 pit, but Joe Ruttman does not feel confident to lead. He says his truck is better and more comfortable when he is following, and he's been following that 99 for quite a while, so look for Joe Ruttman to follow the 99 until he makes a last lap dash for the win.
Let's take a look at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck schedule. The exclusive home, well, all the races will be seen on ESPN and ESPN2 next year. 24 total events. There will be 5 new venues, including Darlington, Kansas City, Nashville, South Boston, and a return to Las Vegas. So there'll be no road courses, all oval races. The entire schedule is tentatively set to be released on Monday. So tune in to RPM as John Kernan will give you all the updated and the complete 24-event schedule. But some great new venues on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series schedule for 2001. And we're back to green flag racing here at California Speedway. 15 laps to go.
See, Kurt Busch quickly gets on the inside of Dennis Setzer. Setzer was on the lead lap in front of the leaders, but now Busch has quickly put himself between Dennis Setzer and the second-place truck of Joe Ruttman.
Boy, and Busch just shot out of a cannon. Remember, all of his 3 wins have come on the super speedways. And look, Houston's giving a little nudge to Joe Ruttman saying, hey, it may be your birthday, but old man, get it going. And Ruttman responds.
He does get it going as they close in, try to run down that 99 truck of Kurt Busch.
Running in third place is Andy Houston. Dave Burns, you've got more?
Well, they really weren't happy with the truck, Marty. They came in, they took on right side tires. They made a track bar and a wedge adjustment because he was pretty loose. So Rick Wren decided to make some major changes to the truck to try to make it a bit faster for Andy.
Well, Andy finished second at Texas last time out. You saw the Lucas Oil telemetry within striking distance. So is the 24. There's the GMAC Financial Services Chevrolet. That is Jack Sprague. He's in 4th. And moving into 5th now is Refner. He has gotten around Terry Cook. Cook giving that 29 truck, the Precision Gear Dodge, a great ride in 6th right now.
And there we see the...
In fact, that is the Precision Gear Dodge. He has gotten back around Brian Refner. So put him back into 5th position. And there is Jack Sprague side by side with the number 1 of Dennis Setzer. Setzer a lap down in 11th.
And Biffle goes up the racetrack and almost makes contact with that truck. I guess that's Brendan Gaughan. They almost made contact down in turn 1. Biffle got low on the racetrack. His entry in the corner was not very good, and he had to have somewhere to go. And fortunately, and look at him once again. Oh, he backs off the throttle wisely because there was going to be some contact between the 3 and the 50.
Yeah, and remember, with that cracked sternum, the last thing he needs is more contact with the wall. Look at the number 29. What a great ride for Terry Cook in this truck. I mean, he has given this one a great run, qualified 25th. They were trying to sort it out. They went the opposite direction of the teammate, number 1 Dennis Setzer's truck. His best finish this year was back at Daytona in 4th when he was in the PickupTruck.com Chevrolet. Last time out of Texas, he was 17th. So Terry doing well here. Greg Biffle right in front of him now. So Biffle running in the 6th spot. There is Refner, who is running 5th. Let's go back up front. Kurt Busch has about an 0.8 of a second lead over second place Joe Ruttman. He's pretty much got a lock on second place in the championship. Stay with us. California Speedway, you're looking at our race leader in the Motorola 200. It's the Exide Ford of Kurt Busch. We have completed 91 of 100 laps, 9 to go. And Kurt looking for his 4th victory of Tour 2000. There's the battle for second, BP, and here comes Andy Houston.
If he makes this pass quickly, as he did, Andy Houston just might win this race because last lap, he and Ruttman both were faster than Kurt Busch.
Remember, Andy qualified on the pole last 2 years here. He started 2nd here this year. Now let's see at the line who is really the quickest. So far, it is Kurt Busch this time by. Nope, it's going to be the 50 truck of Greg Biffle.
But remember, the 18 and 50 were passing, and that slowed their speed down just a little bit. We'll check it the next time, and I think we'll see that Andy Houston will be probably the fastest truck on the speedway.
Well, Andy loves the super speedways. He has 11 top 5s in the 14 super speedway races this year. Let's go back a little bit further. There is Jack Sprague in 4th, and Greg Biffle goes blasting on through the shot as well in 5th. And he has been very quick as of late in the Granger Ford.
All right, once again, we'll see as they go by, check the speed this time at the line. Bush, and look at Brian Refner was quick that time, but the 99 truck of Kurt Busch was the second quick. So maybe Bush just looked up in the mirror and was watching those guys, and when they got in line and Houston was there, he said, I think I better pick up the pace a little bit.
Well, his lead over Andy Houston is 1.2 seconds, and the laps are running out. 7 to go. That's 14 miles. And right now, Jack Sprague, who has won here the last 2 years at California Speedway, is in jeopardy of having that streak snapped by that young man right there, the 22-year-old Kurt Busch from Las Vegas. There's Matt Chambers, his crew chief. They have been a formidable team this year, also going to Winston Cup with him next year. They'll keep that combination together. Houston, as we go on board with the Dana Dodge of Joe Ruttman, they're trying to close the gap, but didn't cut into it last lap, Benny.
No. As a matter of fact, Kurt Busch was a little bit quicker last time. Let's watch Ruttman as he goes down the backstretch. 178, 179 miles per hour before he backs off. Touches the brake just a little bit. That's to keep the truck on the bottom of the racetrack. Comes off on the throttle, trying his best to catch that yellow and red Chevrolet.
We've had 6 different leaders, 6 lead changes here at California Speedway today. Right now, Andy Houston's led the most laps, 34 of those. Let's go back to this battle between Brian Refner and Greg Biffle. And Refner in 6th, trying to take that 5th spot away, and I'm sure he's thinking about that clutch from that pit stop that put him back in this position. He had the dominant truck before that last round of pit stops.
He thought about trying to make a pass on the outside, but Biffle was quick enough that Refner was not able to do that.
Another lap down, 4 to go. There is Jack Sprague right in front of him. The last time he'll be running the GMAC colors. Net 0 on board next year. If Kurt Busch holds on to this victory, he's going to set a new record for rookies with 4 wins in a season.
And Craftsman, the sponsor of the series, this year their plan was to offer a $10,000 reward to the pole center that could win the race. And I think this year, if Kurt Busch were going to win this race, they would pay out 10 times this year. $100,000 in bonus money.
And right now, he is 3 laps away from picking up that 10 grand bonus, and that would be a record for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. The former record was 9. We've tied it so far this year. And believe me, that bonus is sought after by the pole sitter every time out. Joe Ruttman has won it 2 times this year. There goes Kurt Busch. His lead's up to 1.6 seconds on the last lap. So this time by, there will be 2 laps remaining, 5 miles, or actually 4 miles, I should say, in this 2-mile circuit. Joe Ruttman just not able to close the gap. Again, as you see the grandstands, remember this place holds 100,000, and there is a crowd of about 50,000 here today. It is well attended, although, you know, it spreads out quite a bit. 2 more circuits here at California Speedway. Kurt Busch, it looks like he's got it on cruise control right now, Benny.
It really does, and that last lap, now he had slowed down a little bit. I don't think he can afford to slow down too much. He was about a mile per hour slower than the 2nd and 3rd place trucks. So there's the Andy Houston, the 60, the 18 of Joe Ruttman.
His other victories this year came at Milwaukee, Loudon, and Dover. He had 5 second-place runs as well, and the 22-year-old from Las Vegas is going to take the white flag 1 more circuit, about 41 more seconds of racing left in the 2000 season of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Whoa! He got loose, Benny. Coming out of turn 2, big wiggle on the X-side board. That got his attention.
Well, on the last lap And now Houston and these guys, it's almost like a shark. They can smell problems. Was it just getting loose, or did he have a flat tire? Does he have a tire going down?
Through turn 3 and 4, Kurt Busch coming out of the turn 4. There's Andy Houston. The time is running out, and we've got a crash on the backstretch as Houston tries to close the gap. Kurt Busch is going to win for the 4th time, setting a record for a rookie in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He says farewell and heads to the Winston Cup campaign in 2001 by closing out with another win. B.A. Wilson had contact with the wall on the backstretch. He looks to be okay. Dave Burns is with Matt Chambers.
Matt, could you ever have imagined last year when you were doing the Gong Show with Kurt Busch that you'd have 4 wins in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series this year?
No, I never imagined it. We kind of look forward to having a season similar to Greg Biffle's season. I tell you what, this whole crew and everybody's dug real hard this whole season. We got Nextide batteries Ford up in the front all season, and Kurt Busch has done a great job for us. I'm real proud of everybody in the whole team.
What can you do in Winston Cup?
It's going to be a tough road to hoe, but I think we're going to be able to get some stuff done here before too long.
Well, he certainly got the driver to do it. Kurt Busch is one tough Rookie of the Year in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
And there are the Killer Bees side by side. Greg Biffle, your 2000 champion. Despite the cracked sternum, he comes home in 5th place today alongside his Jack Roush teammate. And winner today, Kurt Busch in the Exide Ford. How does it feel to be 22 years old, win 4 races, there goes the burnout?
Biffle's got this burnout perfected, but I don't think Busch hasn't quite figured out yet.
I think Kurt doesn't want this to end. He's taking another lap around. Look at this with the banking on the straightaway. Lighten him up the whole way down. The Granger Ford. This is the celebration he never got to have because of the crash at Texas. So the champion, rightfully so, takes his one moment. And here comes Kurt Busch down the back straightaway, clinching 2nd place in the championship, giving Jack Roush a 1-2 lock here in 2000. Stay with us. Here at the Motorola 200, Kurt Busch, with his 4th win of the year, pulls into victory lane, and as he makes his way towards Amy East, we go to Amy, and Amy, the $10,000 bonus, the check's there, everybody's there.
And the last time I was here with Kurt Busch, he won the $10,000 bonus at Dover. He's got a knack for starting on the pole and winning races. And who would have ever thought that 22-year-old Kurt Busch would not only come into this series and win 4 times, win pole, but finish 2nd in the championship race to his team. Oh, and he dive-bombs into the Exide crew. Let's jump in here and talk to Kurt as they're in a huddle right now. Gets a kiss from his Kurt, did you ever imagine you would come into the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, not only win 4 races, but finish 2nd in the championship points and get a Winston Cup ride out of it?
I had no idea. I got the ride, and they said we're going to finish top 5 in points and win a few races. That's going to be tough. But these guys knew it all along that they could do it. All I had to do was do the wheel, man. They really got me out there in that last stop. It was up to me again, and I had to pull it out for them.
Well, let's talk about the last lap. We saw a little wiggle off turn 2. It made it quite exciting for us. I know the guys behind you were sniffing out a little bit of a problem. Was there a problem, or were you just aggressively running towards the checkered flag?
Just that last lap. Some oil was down. I was taking a conservative. Good thing I was. I was able to save it off of 2. And it was enough margin to where we were able to hold on and take the win home for Roush Racing, 1-2.
Well, let's talk about that 1-2. We said there was a battle, there was a war to be won here today, and you did it. Now, was your mindset, let's just go out and win, or were you truly thinking about winning the 1-2 championship for Jack Roush?
We wanted to conserve and make sure that we could run until the end, to get that last pit stop, get in, get out, and the guys did an awesome job. That's all we wanted to do, was make laps, get an adjustment on the chassis, that last stop, and they got me out first. Just an unbelievable job from the whole team.
Well, you guys, during commercial break, we saw Kurt Busch stop at the start-finish line and bow down to the crowd. Kurt, we bow down to you. Congratulations and good luck next year in Winston Cup.
Thank you. It's just been an unbelievable ride. Rich Reichenbach, the spotter, got me this job, and Matt Chambers has really given me the go. Looking forward to next year. It's going to be tough. We got to learn where that front bumper is, and we'll make some conservative runs and just make some laps next year.
That's Kurt Busch, bright young future in the NASCAR sport.
And the celebration will continue long into the night. Now let's take a look at the unofficial results. The arrows mean you led a lap, and the double arrows for Andy Houston means he led the most laps, so he picks up 10 bonus points, but unfortunately not enough. He's going to finish third in the championship chase. On down, you can see we actually only had 10 trucks on the lead lap at the end of this event. Of course, that one untimely caution created problems for several. There's Mike Wallace, and tough end for his campaign. Remember, he started off with a victory at Daytona, did not finish it the way he wanted to. And let's take a look at the final points now. Kurt Busch by 30 over Andy Houston. That's exactly where they started the day. Mike Wallace locked down fourth. Jack Sprague, Joe Ruttman, Dennis Setzer, Randy Tolzman, and it was a shift in 9th and 10th. Refner moves up to 9th. Steve Grissom drops to 10. Stay with us. We'll talk with more of our championship contenders here. Motorola 200. Let's go down to Amy East with Andy Houston. I'll get it out, Amy.
That's okay. I feel like my tongue's being tied this entire race. Andy, you came up one position short. See, I told you my tongue was tied. You started second, you finished second, but it was a great run for you guys.
Thank you. It was a pretty good afternoon for the Cat Rental Store Chevrolet. A little disappointed. Really wanted to go out winning this deal, and you know, we'll take it. I mean, we wound up second, and these guys have worked hard all year. I mean, we won the manufacturer deal. We won the Like a Rock consistency deal. So that says a lot for these guys. I mean, they work hard. We don't have a lot of stuff fall off. Pitts bit us today. First stop, pitted under green. Then the caution come out, and we got behind, and really could never make it up after that.
This truck series is a very tough and highly competitive series, and you have decided to make a very good career move, and you're going to the Winston Cup Series next year. How much has this truck series prepared you for Winston Cup?
Oh, I would say quite a bit. I don't think nothing can fully prepare you, but I think this is probably as close as you can get. A lot of horsepower, trucks slide around a little bit. They weigh the same. I mean, a lot of factors going into that, but Winston Cup's ultra competitive. I found that out in just the 3 races I've ran so far this year, but I'm really looking forward to next year with all the folks at McDonald's and PPI, and, you know, a little sad about leaving these guys. I mean, Cat Rental Store's been great to us. Addington Racing's been great to us, you know, so mixed emotions.
Well, it's always sad to see some of our Truck Series regulars move on to bigger and better things. But now Andy Houston gets to go fight Kurt Busch for Rookie of the Year over in Winston Cup. We'll talk to Greg Biffle when we come back.
The hour, December 3rd. And Marty, I bet he can't wait to get to the banquet after what happened again at California. Not very good to you today, was it?
No, it wasn't. You know, it's tough. We've lost the last probably 3 out of 5 races in the pits. Not by the guys doing it. They're doing great pit stops and everything. It's just the wrong place, the wrong time. Something stupid happens. Today the caution flag came out when we're coming down pit road for our 4 tires. And, you know, but my hat's off to the Granger team, man. They've done a great job for us all season. Awesome pit stops when we were coming in here doing green flag left sides. They kept me out in front of the leader. Just a little bit tight. You know, we didn't expect to be back in all that traffic, and we decided not to run Wickers for the first time on a speedway, and just made it super tight. I couldn't get it to turn there in any traffic.
How do you feel? We know you went in injured. Do you feel okay?
Yeah, I feel pretty good, actually. I'm surprised that I feel as good as I do, so I'm pretty excited about that. But just hate for the last race to be over. You know, I still got one more time with all the guys off the Granger team at the banquet, but you know, we're looking forward to next year too. So it's been a great season for Granger and Ford and Roush, and yeah, we're pretty excited.
Well, it doesn't sound like Greg will have any trouble getting that tux on at the banquet this year. His teammate, however, takes the prize home today as Kurt Busch wins the Motorola 200.
Photo time in Victory Lane at the Motorola 200, the $10,000 Craftsman bonus check for winning from the pole. 4 victories, and take a look at the Craftsman bonus 10 times. That's a new record, $100,000 total. Joe Ruttman picked it up 3 times. Kurt Busch has managed to pick it up 3 times as well. Brian Refner, Mike Wallace, Greg Biffle also on that list. So let's go down with Amy, who has caught up with Jack Sprague, who finished 4th today.
And Jack Sprague is used to being in Victory Lane here at California Speedway, but just to finish has to be a huge accomplishment for you guys. It's been a tough part of the season, this last half of the season for you guys. So congratulations on finishing the finale.
Well, I wish I was getting congratulated for winning, but finishing right now is pretty good. And the guys done a great job all year. The truck's been fast. It's just you know, it wasn't our year. The first half looked really good after Daytona, man. We went like 13 races with top threes, and I'm like, heck, we can win this thing again. You know, we had the point lead, but boy, since Texas and midstream there, it all went bad, and it wasn't one thing. It was something different every week, but we were fast. You know, other than Michigan, we've had a truck that could win just about every race, and the last 3 races especially, but guys did a great job here again today. We were a little loose at the start. He tightened me up, and we got a little too tight. And the last stop there, he got me right on the money, and we were coming. You know, 10, 15 more laps, we'd have been right there fighting with him. But, hey, just to finish in the top 5, now we got something to build on and go to Daytona and win this championship next year.
And that's exactly what Jack Sprague and the Net Zero team is going to do next year, is go for a championship, as we're going to celebrate Greg Biffle's championship with the 1-2 Roush finish.
Well, and it's going to be a change here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. We want to thank, of course, the NASCAR officials, the track promoters, and, of course, you, the fans. But I got to thank this guy on my left, because after 6 years together, you're going to be moving on to another network next year, our last race together. I just want to say it is a pleasure. You are a true gentleman.
Well, thank you very much, Marty. It's been a pleasure working alongside you, all these folks at ESPN, and these young, talented drivers in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Seeing these kids race their hearts out, trying to move on to the next level, and look how well it worked for so many of them this year. Andy Houston, Kurt Busch, all the rest of these guys going up to Winston Cup. Congratulations, guys. You are thrilled to be around.
2 things you learn with Benny Parsons. One is the only kind of music, it has to have a fiddle and a banjo. And the other thing is you never go hungry in the garage. Dave Burns?
Speaking of the garage, Marty, I would like people to come out in 2001 and see a Craftsman Truck Series race on their own. If you get a garage pass, you will meet more friendly people, drivers and crews alike, than anywhere in racing. They love their series, they love the trucks, and they'd love for you to come out and see an event yourself in 2001. Amy East?
And in the last couple of races, we've talked a lot about the 2000 silly season here in the trucks, and it's a lot of changes, a lot of new faces, a lot of changing within our truck series, which just shows the growth and how important this NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is to those that move on to the Busch Series and the Winston Cup Series.
So as the 2000 season comes to a close, it'd be hard enough to just say farewell until next year. But you have to understand that racing is a passion. And while we focus on victory lane, it is important to remember that victories come on many different levels. For some on a limited budget, just making the show is a victory. For others struggling to crack the top 10, 9th place is a victory. The reality is there are 36 individual stories unfolding on the track each week, each with its moments of joy and sorrow. Yes, the ultimate goal is to win races and championships. Along the way, it has been our joy and sorrow sometimes to tell you those stories, to share those emotional moments. For all of us on the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, thank you for sharing those moments with us as well.
ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, presents NASCAR. Tonight live.